great win at Cardiff last week, of course, and so the place must have been a wonderful place to be around this week.
Yeah, a bit different to the 2 weeks after the Hull game. I think that's just natural, isn't it, for players really? They know when they've done well, and and vice versa, really. So it's been a good place.
And I know you always urge not to get too carried away, not to get too high, not to get too low, but it has been a remarkable turnaround to see where you are in the league table at the moment.
Well, I think it just shows you that everybody has results like we've had at Hull and places like that. It's everybody seems to be doing the same thing. Nobody seems to be. You've got the top 2 or 3 teams, but after that, I think everybody's sort of slipping up when they should win and vice versa. All sorts of things. So it's nothing. Doesn't surprise me. Like I say, I've always said in the past, I'm disappointed we haven't got 8 or 9 more points, but that's how we are at the minute.
Not to go back on last week too much, because we're always looking forward, but I mean, you could have picked loads of people for a man of the match, but Sol Bamba stood out again, and I know you've spoken a lot about him. There's not much more you can say about him. It's quite remarkable the run of form he's in at the moment, isn't it?
Well, it's just as well because we are so near to disaster really on the injury front. If we had a couple more from certain positions, but he's just it's just how I've seen him all his career really. When I first signed him, I told him what I wanted from him, and I think he's revelled playing for me really. I think he's done everything I want, and I think the way we get on as well helps. Got a great relationship with each other. He wants to go into management at a later date as well, so he's learning all the time and things, and it's just worked out well for us. And really, he's been outstanding. Before the season started, I never thought he would get to that type of fitness, but within a few weeks, he showed everybody that he had got that fitness, and then he's waited for an opportunity and really grasped it with both hands.
And it was good for he and you to get the reception you did at the end from the Cardiff fans.
Yeah, I think we earned that. I don't think that just come for the sake of it, feeling sympathy. I think Sol was fantastic in the promotion season, and on and off the field, we integrated around the places, and I went into the valleys on a few occasions, and it was good to see the people there. So it was a really good relationship. I thought it was my final sort of encore, but it's. It was. I think we deserved the win. I think that was the main thing, and it's disappointing for Mick losing his job, but I think that was made the decision before we played them.
Back to tomorrow then, and Birmingham come to the Riverside. What kind of things do you expect from them?
Well, they're very direct and strong and physical, and they've got some good players. Lee came in and done a really good job and kept them up flyingly, and then it took it on a bit. We know that they're going to be taking long throws from the halfway line. I mean, that's what you get really, and I'm only jealous because we haven't got one.
What about Lee Bowyer? He did well at Charlton, didn't he? And have you come up against him much as the manager to manager? Because you'll have obviously managed teams against him as a player. Yeah,
not really. No, I just obviously look at him from afar. I think he's always done well. He always heart on his sleeve. I think he talks a lot of common sense, and he's an up and coming manager. And you get blemishes like he's had a few results, and then you turn it round, and that's how you get your experience. And I think he's only going to get better in the next few years.
He's kind of at the beginning of his managerial career still, arguably. You're at the other end, and there are milestones looming, aren't there? You're going to be the top of the table in terms of games managed very soon. In fact, after Tuesday night at Newton, how do you feel about getting to the top in your own right and out there on your own?
Well, I've got to say, I think it's a bit of a miracle, really. I never set out to do anything like that. Every club I've been at, I just hope I've kept my job since I was at Burton Albion, and so it's. I just can't see something like this being beaten, if I'm honest. Now in the modern day, English games, and I think I've got another one coming as well, from what I've been told. Another 16, 17 games they're all. It's the most football league games as well. So hopefully I can keep my job a bit longer.
And when you look at some of the names on towards the top of that league table, Sir Alex Ferguson stands out, doesn't he? And you're way past him. So it's a real proud thing to have.
Yeah, it is. It's especially at this moment in time where managing football is very, very difficult at the moment, especially for the younger lads coming through. When I first started, there were no social media, and then that's gradually sort of increased as the years have gone by, and now it's hard to dismiss it. It's there everywhere you go. So it's one of those things you almost have to have a lesson in social media for managers now, I would think. But no, I've really enjoyed it. I've always set out to try and give the clubs that I'm at and the people around the club and the fans something to cheer about on a Saturday night, and a little bit of humour in the game. I don't think there's enough humour in the game at the moment. I think everybody's so serious, whereas it doesn't matter to me. I like to make people laugh and smile and enjoy life, because that's what we're here for.
And you presume that the crowd are going to be well up for it tomorrow because of the run the Boro are on. So to get one closer to moving out in front again in a brilliant atmosphere at the Riverside tomorrow, that'll do, won't it?
Well, it will. But even if we hadn't have had the run, the noise at the Riverside can't be faulted. It's been unbelievable all season, even when we've lost games. I thought against Blackpool they were brilliant. We end up losing the game. So I've no problem with that. I think George coming back as well, he'll be like me last week, wanting to say his goodbyes. I hope we give him a bit better. They bullied us a bit last year. They were too strong for us last year, and took the chances when they got it. I hope we give him a better game than we did last year. In that respect.
What about George then? Because he is loved up here still, even though he's not a Middlesbrough player any longer. He's the kind of manager's dream, isn't he?
Yeah, he's very much a soul bamber. Do anything you want, play anywhere. Great in the dressing room. Always picks up vibes that aren't going well to inform the manager, and does your job for you at times. And a super person, really. It's all right being a good player, but he's a good man as well. He's a good bloke. So I'm looking forward to seeing him. I hope he's disappointed tomorrow, but it'd be nice to see him.
All the best, Neil. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes, Martin Pierre getting his first goal last week. That must have been great for him, because the players seem to be so happy for him. They've wanted him to do well, haven't they, since he arrived?
Yeah, he had a difficult start, and I think all the lads realised that. I think the turning point was the first international break, where he really worked hard. He was way behind us physically, but the 2 weeks that he worked hard, everybody could see the effort he was putting in to get up to fitness. And then to see him, take his opportunities when he's at it now. He's not looking for fitness now because he is there, so he can play his normal game. And I think all the lads knew that the sort of effort he's put in to get to that level.
So how much of a bonus is he going to be for you now that he is at that level?
Well, he's a good player, but we've got other good players around. He's just nice to have a choice of that. We seem to be struggling, obviously, defensive-wise, but Martin's filled that role in there, and so has Crooksy, when we've had to put Paddy and Johnny elsewhere. So it's good to have that, a player like that up and running, really.
And we were down at the training ground yesterday speaking to Matt about the Epilepsy Foundation that he's supporting. It just seems like an all-round really good bloke, as well as someone you're able to put in virtually every position on the pitch. Yeah,
he is. He's I keep saying a manager's dream, but he's another one. He's a manager's dream. I've got a few of them, really. I don't think I've had so many in one particular club, if I'm honest, that I'm 100% reliant on. You look at your Johnny Howsons and your Paddy Mcnairs. They don't take any managing. They look after themselves, and the influence that they have in the dressing room is quite astounding. So it's good. And Matt Crooks has just come in, and as if he's been here 10 years. You wouldn't know any different. And same in training. I'll have a laugh with him.
He was talking quite openly about the fact that he suffered from epilepsy probably for about 10 years now, and that it's controlled with medication and stuff. I think for the wider public, that's probably quite a revelation, because I don't think most people would assume you'd be able to play sort of, really elite football with epilepsy. Is that something that you've come across before in football?
No, I think it's great for people outside football to see somebody like Matt and how he's coping with it, and that it's something that you can cope with, and that you can do things in life that you probably weren't aware that you could, having epilepsy. And I think it's good for somebody like Matt to forefront things and show people that it's not the be all and end all if you do have it. And
I think there's just a really kind of nice feeling, a positive sort of energy around the place yesterday, and obviously that comes with being where you are in the table.
Well, we seem to have got there. Everybody says, from what I can see, so we should beat those teams. But they're the type of teams that you don't win, you don't beat. It's one of those things. If you could tell me the teams that you can't beat, and we'll probably beat them as well. So it's very difficult. It's been good for the fans to have that period, especially the travelling fans at Cardiff. For 700 plus to go to Cardiff at that time in the morning, I can imagine how happy a drive back it was. Whereas if from Hull, not as far, but the disappointment of the result. Even though I thought we should have won that quite easily as well. So it was great. It's great to get a result where they can enjoy such a long trip, the fans. But I've never had anything but praise for them. They've been super this season.
And just finally from me, in terms of those injured defenders, what's the situation? Are any of them kind of making a comeback this weekend or on the training pitch?
I don't think so. We've got Dick Steele's the nearest one, and I think he's doing a bit more this morning as well. While we're training, the others have no chance now. I don't think they'll be here before the other side of the break, if we're lucky. Really, we've got a few, and also obviously the long-term ones like Darnell Fisher and Amiobi. I don't think you could even put a date on when those two will be back. Not in the I can't see either before Christmas, if I'm honest. So it's there's nothing really changed in that respect. But Dick Steele I did catch him in the corridor yesterday, smiling. I asked him if he'd been missing coming round for the tea at our house, and he did give me a big smile.
Brilliant. Thanks a lot, Neil. Good luck.
Okay.
It just seems a bit strange that your pickup in results in the table has coincided with your defensive injury crisis. Are you starting to wonder whether you need defenders?
No, I think what it does is it just shows you how you need players that can adapt to different roles. Really, I've always thought Paddy Mcnair was a class above anybody else when he played where he's playing at the moment. I think he's a decent midfielder, but I've always thought he's class. He was class playing at the back, so that didn't bother me. Johnny Howson, I didn't want to move him out of there because I thought he's been instrumental in there, but with no option. So, like you say, we've had to do that. But he's really worked hard in training. The things we've had to do with Johnny to try and show him different things, what's going to happen to him in the game, and he's revelled in that. Same with Lee Peltier. Lee Peltier, a bit about Matt Crooks. Play anywhere for me and do any job, and I've never seen him fitter than he is at the moment. So, it's sometimes it's like that in management, isn't it? You get thrown your lot, and you shuffle the pack, and things work out for you. And another time it could have been a disaster. So, just got to keep going. And like I say, it'll be nice to get the others back. I was told that I'm going to have problems. Well, I'd like those problems, if I'm honest.
How encouraging is it that you've managed to show a bit of that magic ingredient, consistency, over the past few games?
Yeah, we've not been far away in the past. We've just made elementary mistakes at the wrong time and not been able to score enough goals. So, it's a long season. We've only had 14 games. So I think everybody's been learning from the squads, what they've got, etc., even the top teams. And, I think there's certain things at the club here that's changed over the last few weeks. and for the better. And I think you've just got to look at that really, without going into details. I think the lads have adapted really well in different positions. We've created more chances than we have done for many weeks, and looked like scoring. I think in the last few games, even though we've had a lot of chances to score too.
Final one from me. Has it reached the point where you're starting to take notice of the league table now, or do you still think it's taking shape?
Well, I mean, I think after 10 games you get a rough idea. I always think 10 games you get a rough idea. But, you've only got to see, the half glass, a few more goals against and we could be 11th, couldn't we, or 12th or something like that. They don't look that a few more wins we could be 3rd or 2nd. So it depends on which way you look at it.
Just on that, Neil, and you mentioned the record and going as long as you have, and you've mentioned how much the game has changed, and things like social media coming into the game, and the amount of times you've kind of a few times now you said you've retired and you keep coming back. What is it that keeps coming you back, keeps making you come back?
People like bloody Steve Gibson who ring me at 8 o'clock in the morning. That's what it is, and I've always wanted to work for Middlesbrough, for him. Simon Jordan got me out when I thought I was going to pack in after Sheffield United, and Simon taught me into come and have a few months helping me out, and so it's been things like that that have got me back in it. Rotherham United was special just to get me back in, because I had called it a day then, and circumstances, having those 16 games at Rotherham really whetted my appetite for the Cardiff carry on, and so it's a mixture of things, Craig. Really, you just you can't put your finger on it. It's just how it is. I must have been decent at my job to do 1601, and be answerable to you guys all the time in my career. I've had to let a thing. It's a good job I've got nothing in between my ears. It goes in one and out the other, doesn't it nowadays?
Brilliant, very familiar. And just switching up a bit, I mean, we've mentioned, how well Pierre started to do, the fact he's gotten up to speed. I noticed in the training this week, James Leesley seemed to be, doing well. I was just wondering how he's coming on at the moment.
Well, it's been his best week, Craig, funnily enough. Funny you should say that. Yeah, he's not been up to scratch lately, but this week he's had a really good week. All the coaches have mentioned that as well, Kevin and Ronnie. So hopefully, something's clicked and he realises what he's got to do to push into that team.
Yeah, and I guess, looking at, how Pierre's come on and how much he's, improved the last 3 games, that can kind of serve as kind of a little bit of inspiration for James as well, and what he's got to do. Yeah,
James is slightly different because I think the 2 weeks where Martin absolutely trained like he's never trained in his life, really, with the lads, got him back up to scratch, whereas James went away and had a few minutes here, a few minutes there. He's still, physically not where I would expect somebody to be, but he is trying hard. But whereas Martin really knuckled down, almost, I've got to do this for him. I think the determination he showed us was excellent.
Yeah, and just finally for me, I guess, is that a concern then? Because, just a week or so away, we're on another international duty, and James will probably be going away again, and, all that hard work could be undone again, couldn't it?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, you can't blame the lad. I think the Cameroons are actually, they're hosting the Cup African Nations, aren't they? So, it's a tremendous thing for a lad who comes from there. So I can't blame him. He's just not helping us, really, in that respect, but hey-ho.
No, thanks very much, Neil.
And Matty to finish off.
Matty.
Morning, Neil. How are you?
Last but not least, come on, son.
Oh, I'm glad you said that.
Yeah.
Just a little bit more on James Leesley and his fitness, as you mentioned. Is that a time scale thing? Is that something that will take maybe 2 or 3 weeks, or is it genuinely something that is down to him and what are his input, if you like?
I think with fitness, like we have a really good pre-season, and I think the pre-season training gets you to Christmas. And then you have to do the blank weeks. We have to put quite a lot of training in because I don't believe after Christmas you can get any fitter. I think it's just topping up, really. So when you've not been able to do the strengthening ones, which we do in the 2 weeks that we have, he doesn't get any, he doesn't get any fitter because you can't overdo him when he comes back because he wouldn't be available then. So it's catch-22 really. You can't win, you can't lose. It's one of those things. We just have to carry on and see where it goes.
Just switching things up a little bit. You mentioned about free agents the other week, and there wasn't really much kind of success there. Is that kind of on the back burner for now? Is that all but done until maybe another time, or you look?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, we could have probably signed Robbie Brady if we'd have agreed everything there and then, but it wasn't to be. And I see, Bournemouth have took him, haven't they? So it's pointless. We don't want to sign anybody. We just wanted to sign. I would have took Robbie because he's a good player. But other than that, they don't come. They don't come smashing me in the face at the minute free transfers. Because we're talking about November now. Well, if they've not had a club, and we're into November, the chances are fitness-wise, it'll take us to the window to get them fit. So you can't really win now. I think I would have took Robbie because we had him up and he showed that his fitness and what he could be, the quality on the ball that he had as well. But other than that, I can't see anybody before the new year now.
Scott spoke to George Friend yesterday, obviously really well thought of at Middlesbrough, captains the side, achieved promotion, but he said that probably his biggest achievement was maybe his last 7 or 8 games where he came back from injury and helped the team stay away from relegation under your tenureship. And I can see that's
it did
on your face. Actually.
Well, the thing is, it was amazing because I didn't think he'd come back from the injury till the end of the season. But we all had to really roll his sleeves up, and George was just determined to roll his sleeves up. Anything I asked him to do, he said, "Look, if it's possible, humanly possible, Gaffer, I'll do it." And that's what he did. He with Shotton and people like that, we just knuckled in and to get the points because it would have been a disaster if Middlesbrough. And make no mistake, we were close. We weren't as easy as what it looked at the end. It was quite close that to stay up. So George realised what it was like, and he was just like I say, fantastic for me.
Maybe one you'd have liked to have kept staying on at Boro?
No, I think sometimes there's a right time to leave, and when talking to George, I think he realised it was the right time. I think he needed another. I offered him a year, which I thought was probably what he deserved. But he came from the Midlands, and he got a 2-year good offer. So it was a non-starter really, and I just wished him the best because he's such a good lad. I don't think you can, you could put a time. Throughout his career, wherever he's been an absolute credit to the jersey. I just hope tomorrow he's disappointed when he gets on the bus to go home.
Hopefully he will be. Just one final one. Apart from the defensive contingent, is there any other injury concerns or not you need to be worried about?
We've got 1 or 2 little niggles. I don't think it'll affect the team selection. We'll have a look this morning. Just a couple of little things, but I'm not expecting them to be major from what I've been told before I came into the press. So we'll know more. I think it'll be from that squad.